Hey guys, Barbara from TinyGirlBrain here again. Still running for Senate. But just wanted to talk to you guys today about fiscal conservatives and some ways to cut government spending. I've had it said to me on multiple occasions that Republicans don't care about poor people, specifically regarding fiscal policy, and fiscal conservatives don't like poor people or don't care about poor people. And I want to kind of unwrap that and talk to you about how this is so untrue. And if you think about fiscal conservatism, I don't even know if that's a word, but if you think about this in a logical manner, they actually probably care more about poor people than those that preach social welfare programs. So here's what I want you to keep in mind, is that fiscal conservatives are against social welfare programs and things of that manner because they require tax dollars. So if you are wanting to implement more money to help provide food to the needy or healthcare or whatever, that money's got to come from somewhere. The government just does not have infinite amounts of money, no matter what you think or how much the national debt says, like, eventually we will go bankrupt. So we don't have infinite amounts of money. But generally those that are fiscally conservative and object to these types of programs, it's because of the tax dollars that it will use, because if it requires more tax dollars, that's more money out of your pocket. So these programs take more money from your paycheck in taxes to help others, and therefore it is more money out of your pocket. If you were to cut some of these programs or cut some of these things, then it would actually equate to less money being taken out of your check and more money into your pocket and into your paycheck. So you're taking home more money and the government's getting less of it, which is actually better for everyone, is it not? Is that not the best thing for poor people, is to take less money out of their paycheck? I would love to have more money in my paycheck. I don't know about you, but I wanted you guys to think about that for today. That's your food for thought, is that fiscal conservatives actually do care about poor people. One example of government overreach is the government healthcare system. And you can talk to me all day about the Affordable Care Act and how it's so great because it made everybody have a health insurance. But the thing is that when the government became involved and put a standard on that, then it actually increased the premium costs for everyone to the point of it became unaffordable. So, in turn, in order to become compliant with the law for people to be able to afford to have health care, you had to provide the premium tax credits to people so that they could afford the premium. Or there's the healthcare reimbursement acts that have been added recently, that where employers can reimburse employees for healthcare costs like insurance premiums or having to go to the hospital or whatever. The healthcare system and the skyrocketing cost of premiums have made the premium tax credits and these healthcare arrangements or healthcare reimbursement arrangements necessary for people to be able to afford healthcare. Now, yes, there was a problem with the healthcare system, and insurance companies are a freaking racket, and we can go into all of that. But the government going into it is not the way to fix that problem, and it's only costing taxpayers more money. So just think about that for a minute. Government healthcare is an example of overreach, and in some way, I don't know if there's cost savings there, because I don't know how you guys feel about it and if that's the way to go about cutting the money from the system. I'm just telling you that it's an entire racket and a scam, and that's where tax dollars are being eaten up. Additionally, the Federal Department of Education is a waste of tax dollars. Any federal mandates on education do not work. They do not work. It's been shown over and over and over and over and over again that it does not work. No Child Left Behind does not work. Common Core does not work. There puts too much emphasis on testing and making the kids pass these things instead of actually, like, teaching the child and comprehension and teaching kids the things that they need to get to those upper levels. You're expecting these kids to get from like 2 + 2 = 4 to, I don't know, trigonometry in like 3 years. And that it doesn't work that way. You have to build the steps to get there. And we're skipping all these steps. And on top of that, you're taking the capability of the teachers to assess their students and find the best way to teach their students and get through to their students by forcing them to follow these mandates. And I'm not saying that there shouldn't be a set standard of where children should be. I just feel like when the federal government tries to tell teachers nationally how you should teach your children and that every child should be taught in this particular manner, then you're actually missing what you should be doing, and you're taking away the authority of the teacher in the classroom. Like, you're not letting the teacher teach. Our federal Department of Education could be significantly reduced. Save money there. That's saving you tax dollars right there, because a lot of what the federal Department of Education does needs to be shifted down to the state level and be regulated at the state level with only, minimal federal oversight, at least in my opinion. But that's how I feel about it. You can tell me how you feel about it. That's fine. I would love to hear. Please let me know. The Department of Defense. We could talk about how much money the Department of Defense spends. I'm all for defense. I am all for military. I'm a huge military supporter. Thank you so much for your service and for everything that you do for our country. I do not think that you get thanked enough for what you do. I don't think you get paid enough for what you do. I don't think you get enough respect for what you do. But I, for one, really appreciate it. The Department of Defense as a whole, though, just eats away tax dollars. And a third of that budget could be cut. We could cut a third of the Department of Defense budget and shift that money elsewhere and still be A-okay. Heck, we could take a third of the Department of Defense budget and put that into making the soldiers' lives better on base or in their barracks, making sure that their laundry gets done and returned to them, or whatever. There's tons of problems that they have that we could use money to fix that instead of Space Force. Can somebody explain to me what the Space Force is? I would really love to know. I would love to know why we had to shut down NASA and stop spending money for NASA, but then turn around and make the Space Force and add to the defense budget for the Space Force. Somebody please explain that to me, please. That's how I feel about the Department of Defense. So I want you guys to think about this with me for a minute. You have the time that Congress is spent in session. You've heard me talk about this as a part-time job. Congress is not supposed to be in session year-round. This is not supposed to be a full-time job. Congress was designed to have representatives show up and vote on manners and decide governmental things and then go back home to where they came from and be from the people and remember where they're from and what the people want and come back and meet again. It's not for you to spend your entire time in Washington and for you to work there year round and then maybe go home for a couple weeks throughout the year and you're still from wherever it is you're from. No, at that point you're from Washington. If you're living in Washington year round, you're from Washington. You can no longer be from Alabama or California or Nevada or West Virginia or wherever you're from. I don't know if you're from West Virginia, you can probably commute to DC, but you get what I'm saying. If you're spending your time year round in DC, then you are no longer from wherever it was that you were from that got you elected there. So, the lengths of our congressional sessions needs to be drastically reduced. And if we did that, think about how much all the tax dollars we could save, because you don't have staffers there working. You don't have to keep the lights on. You don't have to keep the air on. You don't have to keep the water on. These are things that, yes, obviously need to be run, but again, it's the same as if you're at home. If it's not there, you can turn the lights out. Saving money there on electricity, are we not? People aren't there and you're not having to pay staff to be there, then great. Saving money there. Congress should be, you meet for a month, 3 months, whatever. You work through what you need to work through, you go home. I'm not saying all the problems of the world can be solved in 3 months. That's not how it works. I'm just saying that if you go back and you look at the length of previous congressional sessions, they're running for a full year. Like, they will start in January and then run until January the next year. This is not how it should be working. Congress should be called. Members should meet. You have your meetings. You vote. You decide. You go home. Then if there's something that comes up that you need to have another meeting about, then you come back. You have another meeting. You discuss. You vote. You go home. You don't need to sit there and discuss and have backroom deals and meeting after meeting after meeting, and half of your Congress members don't show up because they decided that they're not going to be there so that they can delay the vote even more. That's a waste of my tax dollars. I'm tired of spending my money for you to do that. Congressional salaries. Congress members make $193,000 a year. At least that's what it says online if you look up that information. $193,000 a year. That's, wow. That's a lot of money. At least I feel like that's a lot of money. Most of you other folks will feel like that's a lot of money. We could cut that, 25%. Put that money back to something else. Right? Maybe if they weren't there year round, then we could actually justify a congressional cut because they're not there year round, so they don't have to be paid salary. Just thought. So, just these different things that I feel you should think about. Fiscal conservatives actually do care about poor people. They just want government to spend less so that they're taking less money out of people's paychecks, so that they're taking less of your money. That's really all it is. That's all I want, too, is for less of our money to be taken from us and wasted by government. I'd also like to propose that Congress members have to be fined if they can't pass a budget in a timely manner and cause a government shutdown. I feel like that's your job, and if you refuse to pass a budget and can't compromise to get a budget passed, then you're wasting my money and you're not doing your job. And much like a contractor who is building something that's on a timeline or a schedule that has to have it done, by a certain deadline, if they don't meet that deadline, they may be fined because of everything else that's waiting on them. So I feel like if the government has to go down into shutdown because Congress can't pass a budget because they decided that they were going to fight and nobody's going to show up or whatever, then Congress members should be fined and have to pay, the taxpayers out of their salaries for government shutdown, and that those that work in Congress should not be paid for whatever they've got to do during a government shutdown to get the government back to running. You shouldn't get back paid because you screwed up and then came back and fixed your problem. You just got to take the hit on that one. You got to take one for the team. That's all I'm saying. Only fair thing in my eyes. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. Please like the video. Please share the video. Please like the Tiny Girl page on Facebook. Feel free to send me messages, leave me comments, whatever you would like. Barbara Sullivan for Senate for Alabama. Please keep it in mind, if you would like to sign the petition, please send me a message and let me know. I will get you that information. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it.